Good morning, East Africa. Good evening, Coach. This is day 2 of the Return Day Challenge. Please throw some emojis in the air if you can hear me. Let's see who can hear me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for those who are doing that. Thank you so much. It is the second day of our 5-day return challenge, and I'm sure we are ready to get started. How was yesterday? Let me just hear from a couple of people who were here yesterday. How was yesterday? Let's hear from Stella Monene. Good morning, Stella Monene. How was yesterday? Stella, the
Good
count
morning,
of
Gladys.
good morning.
Good
Yes.
morning, everyone. Yesterday was loaded. Yesterday was very, very loaded. I think my takeaway home was, are you ready to make the next year so different from the last 3 years am I ready to make the next 3 years from the last 3 years that I've been having? My children I'll either do right by my child, and I think we know where that touches, or do wrong by then. But the parable of the prodigal son was very, very, very instrumental in the season that I'm in right now. Um, and the whole idea of identity, him having left as a son of a very rich man, however, returning as one who was starving and dying. Yeah, it made me ponder quite a lot in regard to identity. Who am I right now? Who do I identify myself as right now? And who will I be in the next 3 to 5 years? Then what aspects make me true with how my needs influence how I live my life and how I have lived my life. Yeah, that one
Wow.
touched somewhere deeply. Thank you.
Stella Munene giving us a good summary pack. Let's appreciate Stella and get started. I am going to ask that we have, yes, more of us on video. Thank you so much. Let's welcome our coach, the one and only Dr. Job Mogire, to take us through this day 2. Karibu, Daktari.
Good morning, everyone. If you can hear me, I want to see a bit of reaction from you on the chat box. If you can hear me, if you can hear my voice. I want to try something really, really brief. What 2 words do you remember from yesterday? Not a sentence, just 2 words. What 2 words did you walk away with from yesterday? 2 words. What 2 words did you walk away with from yesterday? And if you are here, it means you are continuing to honor the commitment you made yesterday, because you will never be innocent of that commitment. I am trying to play for you something here that I hope you will love as much as I love it. 2 words. I'm waiting for your words. Then from there we will begin. 2 words you remember from yesterday. 2 words you remember from yesterday. Run, return, prodigal, unmet needs, return home, needs, return, 3-year-old, 3-year-old self, lost son, anchored, challenge, unmet needs, identity, squander, unmet needs. Keep putting them up as I share this. I want you to receive this song. Gladys, please confirm that you can see the slides.
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. Thank you. I have to reshare so that I include the sound. Okay. So if you can hear that, you're getting ready for day 2. I want you to do it with a bit of movement, but most importantly, I want you to pay attention to those words on this screen.
I was running through life like a lonely road, thinking I knew where my story would go, but love was following me quietly. I chased the lights of the city, every dream that I could see, thought the world could satisfy every part of me. But the more I kept on searching, the more empty I became. Then a whisper in the silence softly called my name. You were patient with my wandering, even when I couldn't see that the love I had been searching for was reaching out to me. You in my heart, Baba God. Slowly you draw me near, every step along the road, you were always here. You in my heart, Baba God. Now I finally see all the love I was looking for was chasing after me. Sometimes I run far from you, thinking say I know the way, but your mercy still they follow every single day. Even when I fall for road, when my strength no day again, your grace pick me up gently, make me stand again. Now my story they different. Every breath I take confess all the love we feel my life. Now Baba got my rest. Oh, you in my heart, Baba God. Oh, slowly you draw me near, every step along the road. Oh, you were always here. Ooh, you in my heart, Baba God. Baba God, Baba God. Now I finally see, all the love I was looking for was chasing after me. I was lost but you found me, broken but you healed me, running from your love, still you stayed beside me. No be by my power, no be by my might, now your endless mercy bring me to your light. Because the love I searched for has finally brought me home.
I played that song intentionally because I want it to be available on the recording. And I would really like you to go back to it and pay attention to the message, because it essentially summarizes what we are trying to do during this 5-day challenge. You go back to it when the recording is available. We will hear the music in the background. You will see the exact lyrics. And now we will cross over and engage in Day 2 of the return challenge. The additional ones I didn't see is Rome ravaged, hungry for, left home, unmet need. And the last one is praying hands. That's a great way to finish that part. I am so glad you are here today, because what we have today is going to be very powerful, especially for those of you who attended the Unfinished Life Summit, because this is going to be a deep dive back to something that you have seen, but you will see it with fresh eyes. The 5 days, yesterday we started speaking about the far country, because that's the destination that the young man, the prodigal son, left for. Today, we speak about the famine. Today, we speak about the famine. The famine happens after he had run, after he had squandered, after wild living. He was already hungry, but now he is hungry in a far country that has a famine. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son said to his father, "Father, give me." That is the first expression of his need. That is the first sign that he is searching, that he is hungry. Other than addressing him, identifying who he is speaking to, the first words that come out of the prodigal son that are recorded is, "Give me." And everywhere he went, he was always asking, "Give me. Give me. Give me my share." He went to the far country and he said, "Give me fun. Give me respect. Give me recognition." Until he ran out of the money, he went to an employer and said, "Give me a job." He was given the pigs to feed. He's feeding the pigs. He's like, "Give me pots to eat." He is hungry to the point where he finally, at the very last moment, he realizes he is not just hungry, he is starving to death. So in other words, the severe famine happening in the far country is just a reflection of the hunger that was within him, because the very first words that ever came out of his mouth were, "Give me." When you are hungry, you are desperate. When you're hungry, the hunger takes over. When you're hungry, it means you have a need that has not been met. And unmet needs don't disappear. They take over. He was hungry, and yet he spent the money. He spent the time, he spent the resources, he squandered. And then he began to be in need. He began to be in need visibly. He was already in need internally. And he went and hired himself out to feed pigs. The deepest word with regards to his need in this entire passage is the word longed. 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 My personal definition of the word longing is a need that has always been present. So it's been present for so long, it's no longer a need, it is a longing. It's a longing because it belongs to you. Longing. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods. He's no longer longing for dignity. He's not longing for success. He's longing for the pods the pigs were eating. And no one gave him anything. This is the closure. He opens this passage with his expression of his need, "Give me." And the last sentence we are told, no one gave him. In other words, that hunger could no longer be met by any distraction. And that leads him to the point where he realizes he is starving to death. Is it possible? Is it possible? There is a hunger that is driving you, and the hunger is driving you because there is something inside you that remains unfinished. Is it possible? There is a hunger that is driving you, and it's because there is something in you that remains unfinished. That's because unfinished business doesn't disappear. It takes over. Unfinished business becomes hunger. And it can take multiple different forms. It can be a promise to yourself that you broke. It can be your genuine, authentic needs that you postpone so that you can please other people, so that you can prove, you can compete. Your voice, your power, your truth, your authentic identity that you shape so that it can be accepted. When you shrink yourself to be able to fit in rooms where you don't even need to be, each of these authentic internal longings that we silence, they become hunger. They are an expression of what is unfinished in our life. I wonder which of these 10 hungers apply to you. Is it unkept promises? Is it you negotiating your dignity instead of honoring it? Is it of you fragmenting yourself and being different in every environment you show up to? Is it you living by inherited scripts? The things you used to hear your mother say or your auntie say, now you say them to your children and you don't know when you started. Is it the needs, the authentic needs you have, which you've kept on wait, on delay, on deference, hoping that someday you will have the time, the energy, the attention to finally try to meet them? Is it you using your intelligence, your mind, your ability to explain things as a way to create a prison that is holding you back? Or is it that you have broken your own promises for so long that now you don't even trust yourself? You don't even trust your own commitments. That's one of the challenges I gave you, tests I gave you yesterday. If you make a commitment that you're going to show up during the 5-day challenge, will you follow it? Is it hidden shame from the shoulds, the coulds from the past? Things you could have done, you didn't do. Things you feel you should have done and you didn't do. And now they have become a source of regret, a source of shame. Is it the exhaustion that comes from carrying so many open loops, such that it's as though there's always a channel right to the back, to the past, to previous, incomplete business, books you started reading, you never completed, businesses started thinking about, researching, you never completed? Or is it overall deferred living? Living a light version, a convenient version of your life right now, while the true life remains on standby. Might any of these hungers be the primary reason why the last 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 12 months have almost gone by unnoticed? Might it be the reason why you say this year should be different, but it's already beginning to feel like 2025 and 2024 and 2023? In other words, last year is just about to repeat itself. Before you know it, it will be October, November, December, and it will be another what happened to this year. Unkept promises. That's the first piece of the hunger. Unkept promises. There's nothing more expensive in my life, in your life, than breaking your own word to yourself. You would rather not promise. You would rather not commit than commit and then break the commitment, break the promise. Because there is no amount of money you can pay to buy back your own self-trust. Your unkept promises, the resolutions you set every year since 2009, and they keep moving to the next year, that is one of the most expensive, because that is psychological poison. You don't need enemies, you don't need haters when you cannot honor your own promises, because that is how you run. You're running from your dignity, you're running from your authentic truth, because you're not even honoring. You don't need anybody. You don't need the government to interfere. You don't need the opposite political faction. You are already the opposition in your own life. Negotiating your dignity. I think this is one of the things my 3-year-old self, if he showed up today and looked at certain seasons of my life, the one thing he would be ashamed for me, is negotiating my dignity. Instead of fighting for me, sometimes just stepping back and watching life or people or circumstances. Sometimes you clean your house better when certain people are coming to visit you. You don't necessarily do it when you are living there. Sometimes you organize your cupboard and your closet, and you clean your car better when you expect that certain people are going to see it. That is negotiation of your dignity. That other people deserve better presentation of this house, of this environment, or even how I do my hair, because I'm going to meet them. That is negotiation of my dignity. That is presuming that these other people deserve a more dignified environment than what I am dealing with every day. Because when I do it with my house, I am going to do it with my personal standards. I'm going to do it with how I show up. I'm going to do it with my vision. I'm going to do it in so many invisible ways. It becomes an expression of that hunger within, the hunger to prove, to please, rather than the reality and the authentic need for me to express truly who I am. So that if you're coming to see me, the way you see this living room, that is how I live. If I live differently, and when you're coming, I'm changing it, I'm negotiating my dignity. I live here, but when you come, I want to show you here. What is it that has convinced me and has made it normal for me to live here and I show you here, rather than me come and live here, so that when you come, there is no tension. I don't need to be anxious that you're coming. I don't need to be worried, because I live here. You come and find me here. In fact, you might even find me here because yesterday I was tired and haven't had time to do some things around, and you find me here, but I'm okay with that. Living a fragmented self. Living with versions that almost never meet. The office version, who stands up and speaks with confidence. And then there is the friends or the chama version that depends on who is present in the chama that day. Sometimes he is shy, sometimes he's expressive, sometimes she is timid, sometimes she is very quirky. And the one that shows up when you go to visit your close family, and the one that is on the road that gets into road rage. Fragmented self. Because now identity has been outsourced to the environment, such that the environment I am in dictates who shows up. I have fragments that never meet. The environment dictates which one comes out, the rest remain hidden. This is the most expensive use of our energy and time and attention, switching between the fragments, such that the fragment that sets the goals cannot speak up in the friend circle because the fragment that shows up in the friend circle is different. Fragment that shows up in the friend circle wants to please the friend circle. Therefore, We must hide the fragment that is determined to achieve the goals. I'm no longer living as one person. I am fragmented, and that is because they are unspoken needs that have taken over, and now they are dictating how I listen to the environment to determine how I will show up. Living by inherited scripts. Scripts from primary school and secondary school and Sunday school and auntie and uncle and the pastor and the matatu driver and my mother, my father, my elder siblings, my younger siblings, a crowd of voices, each of which has an input to the point where I no longer remember what my authentic voice is. Whenever I think, I'm not really thinking. I am running my intuitions, my inferences through a checklist of voices to see what the voices will say. Then I can decide what to do. Anytime I'm about to tackle something challenging, even before I show up to tackle it, I already know that this is not meant for me because the voices, the crowd of voices that has been created over the years is so loud, I can no longer hear my own voice. So I end up living by inherited scripts. All the shoulds, any should in your life, you should, you must, that is not authentically yours, is an inherited script. The needs, you defer. I will tell you that every patient I have who has ended up with a heart attack in their 50s and 60s, and they don't have a genetic predisposition, it's not because that is their genetics. It's usually because of a pattern of deferred needs. And deferred needs express themselves by a deferred life, an unfinished life, where what is truly yours becomes inconvenient to express it and to honor it. Where rest, for example, rest becomes something to defer, such that you've been running on fumes for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be fully rested and fully aligned, fully energetic and fully present. Because rest, even sleep, becomes an inconvenience. So that you no longer sleep, you collapse into bed. Every single time you tell someone, I'm sorry, I dozed off, it's probably because you just passed out. You did not sleep. Because the way sleep is structured, we are supposed to say, I am going to sleep now, and you turn in and you close your eyes and you lie there for 5-10 minutes awake, and then you drift off. Deferred needs. Getting the point where what is authentically mine, rest, working out, even getting medical checkup, if you're a lady, getting your mammograms, getting your pap smears on a consistent basis, so that you don't drive a car that is better checked out than you've ever been checked out as an individual, because you're deferring your needs. Using your intelligence to build an elaborate prison of excuses, explanations that hold you back. But on the opposite side, intelligence is like a razor blade, using your intelligence to cut into yourself. So that when you quote unquote fail, because you are so intelligent, you can see every single way. You can always think 80 different ways that you could have done anything better. As a result, you get to a point where you are frozen. You don't want to try anything because it doesn't matter what you do. You are so intelligent that you will always find ways to beat yourself down with your knowledge. The more you learn about habits, the more you beat yourself down about your poor habits. The more you learn about money, the more you beat yourself down about money. The more you learn about what the world is doing, what new skills are available, the more you beat yourself about, why have I not learned all these skills? Your smartness keeps you stuck because you can explain why you're stuck, Or even when you're trying to move, your smartness becomes a weapon that beats you down, and you beat yourself down with spreadsheets, with very clear, you can measure the degree of deviation from whatever result you are hoping for. Self-trust, bankruptcy. Nothing will hurt more than self-trust bankruptcy when you are 65, 70, 75. And I'm telling you that because I have seen this over and over and over. I have been practicing medicine since 2009. And I will tell you, there's nothing more painful. If there's a reason why it's so important to be aware about the aspects of your life that are unfinished and begin to be intentional about them, this is it. This is it. This is the reason why there are too many bitter grandfathers, bitter grandmothers, bitter mother-in-laws, bitter father-in-laws, because they are dealing with their own internal pain at a time when there is a famine in the far country they have been living in, because now they have run out of the time to rebuild some of the internal architecture that needs to be rebuilt. And now everyone around them ends up facing that inner collapse. If there is one reason to become so selfish about your time, energy, and attention, is because the price of self-trust bankruptcy later is so painful that nothing, it doesn't matter which doctors take care of you, it doesn't matter what you've built. You can live in a mansion, but if you're living with inner self-bankruptcy, you are as poor as anyone comes. Because self-trust bankruptcy almost always comes expressed as that gap, that distance. It's very easy to buy the external stuff. I can buy the car, I can buy the house, I can buy the suits, I can take the trips, I can take the pictures, I can even get them edited. I can design the external environment. The inner environment cannot be built by accident. And the longer it takes for me to return to that point of building the private world, the inner world, the longer you delay, the harder it's going to be. And it gets to the point where external success, your CV, your curriculum is fantastic. We know that you're the manager. You know that you're the director of this department. You know how much experience you have, but you know the gap within. There is more growth that can be measured outside, but that growth sometimes doesn't have an inner anchor. And that is the reason why we wake up at 5 a.m. because we know that external progress will happen because somebody else is always holding the deadline. Your boss is holding the deadline. The government is holding the deadline. Your clients are holding the deadline. The calendar is holding the deadline. The corporate targets are holding the deadline. But who is holding the deadline for the internal architecture? Because if there is a gap between that internal architecture and the external architecture, that gap is going to cause shame. And that shame is going to build on self-trust bankruptcy. You cannot trust yourself because how come over the last 15 years you haven't done something that authentically grows you internally? And now you're dealing with shame, but it is shame that you carry quietly. You show up in the meetings and you speak up and you give instructions, but you know at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or when you wake up in the morning, something just feels heavy. You slept well, but for some reason, something still feels heavy and you can't put a finger on it. It is that gap. The gap where there's so much progress externally, or at least you can start making external progress really quickly. You just need to put your eyes onto something and put your energy there. But internal architecture growth is slow and can be frustrating, and we have to be intentional and erect structures similar to what we have externally to help us move. And the longer you carry that gap, the more exhausting it becomes. And you're not exhausted because, oh, the work is hard or you're busy, or you're exhausted because that internal weight only gets heavier with time and you don't get to put it down. Do you have a date by when you are going to make sure that you start living the elements of your life that are still on hold or that are on pause? Do you have a date when you're going to resign from the unfinished life? Do you have a date in mind? Every time I see a patient who has history of smoking or they're currently smoking, that's one of the things we discuss. You've been smoking for the last 25 years. When do you intend to quit? Are you ready to quit? Are you ready to step out of the unfinished life for real? Because it's time to face the hunger. If you don't face the hunger, the day is coming when it leads you to the pig pen. Time is coming when it leads you to rock bottom. And if you wait for life to give you rock bottom, it's going to hit like rock bottom. But you could choose to create an equivalent of rock bottom by deciding when this ends, by deciding that the life I have is worth it, by deciding that my dignity is worth changing direction, and stop this pattern that has been repeating since 2007, 2017. It was going to be there in 2027 unless something drastic happens by choice, by decision. And this is why we are doing the 5-day return challenge. Can you hold the reins and say, it's been going in this direction, but I am going to choose to go in this direction, and it may be a struggle, but I'm determined at least to make, even if it's a 20-degree shift, because I know that the direction I need to go is this way. Even if all I do is go 20 degrees or 30 degrees or 40 degrees, that will be something. Because I know that these unmet needs are not going to disappear. The unkept promises, the negotiated dignity, fragmented self, the inherited scripts, the authentic needs treated as inconvenience, using my intelligence as an armor, leading me to get stuck and harming myself and hurting myself, leading to self-bankruptcy and accumulating hidden shame. Continually exhausted because what I'm carrying within is heavy, but it's hidden. It is mine. I only know truly what I am carrying. Nobody else really knows. As a result, I am caught hoping that a day is going to come, some nebulous day in the future, when this is going to change. I want to challenge you to make a commitment that you are not going to wait for life to present to you a rock bottom, that you are going to choose by decision that something has to change, that you're not carrying another year of a completely unfinished life. You're going to begin. You're not going to wait until you're in want. You're not going to wait until the longing is so strong that it leads you to hire yourself out to feed pigs. That you are ready to contend with what is here, that this is my reality, that there's a weight within. There's a gap between my external life. I have the degrees, I have the education, I have proficiency in all these areas, but there's a gap between this external and how much development I am consistently doing within. And I want to close this gap. I want to resign from the unfinished life, because you don't need more success. You don't need more recognition. You don't need more achievement. You need more completion. You need more completion. If you could attain just as much experience in internal development as you have externally, everything will balance out. In fact, you will never need to compare yourself to anyone or compete with anyone, because you have so much experience. Now, how can we metabolize this experience so that it creates the confidence within that makes the experience that you already have, the wisdom you already have, shine, so that you can no longer, you're no longer exhausted, you're no longer hungry because of these unmet needs. And here you are, you're continuing to run to a far country, you are living wildly, you're squandering. Eventually, you end up hiring yourself to feed pigs because you're driven by unmet needs that you haven't addressed. Today is about the unmet needs. It's about the hunger. And which of these 10 hungers are the most influential for you as an individual? Because you are exhausted trying to prove what was never in question. You're exhausted trying to prove what was never in question. Every achievement externally has been an indirect attempt at earning your worth. It's time to return. The 5-day return challenge is about returning to your worth, returning to the voice that you don't have to explain, that you don't have to hide, returning to the power that you don't have to dim, returning to your authentic truth, returning to your needs so that you can begin to meet them authentically, so they can stop leading you to a far country. Tomorrow, we cover something so crucial that I don't want you to miss. And I would like you to make a commitment. Go to the chat box. As you digest what you have received today, I want you to commit. Don't create another opportunity to dilute your self-trust. If you commit that you are showing up here tomorrow and that you will be on time, you owe it to yourself, and there's no amount of money you'll ever pay yourself. This is a simple test to begin to see, how ready am I? How ready are you from where we are today to begin to steer this ship, even if it's just 10 degrees off the course that it's been on, even if it's just 15 degrees? Are you committed tomorrow? Because what we are picking up from tomorrow, day 3 and day 4, should lead you to a point where you have a practical direction that will lead you to where you want to go. Are you committing? You're layering another commitment to yesterday's. Are you committing that tomorrow you're showing up on time? And by showing up is you're showing up with everything from day 1 and day 2. If you haven't watched the video on day 1, you go watch it and leave a comment there. And then day 2, when it's available, you go and rewatch it and come here tomorrow ready. You know that you reign. Chat box and commit, knowing that this is a test of whether you can continue to build your self-trust. I want to mention this today and probably not again until Friday, that you need a finishing system You need a finishing system that is going to lead you to where you really want to be. I'm offering this program called Cora, the Daily Reset, this year. I don't think I'll ever be able to offer it to the same extent, the same depth of involvement that I'm going to be involved in. So if you go to HOM2026.com, it's going to be a small room, but it's going to be a transformative room. That's all I will say. Just go to HOM2026 for Cora, the Daily Reset. I'm going to take a quick look and see who has committed to show up tomorrow. I can't read all of them. I've seen all of these. I can't read. The last one I see is Elvis, Gladys, and Mercy, Stella, Beatrice. I've seen all of them. Let me call one or two people, and then we will wrap. Vincent, would you be able to speak? I see D. Capella. Good morning. You're both new to House of Mastery. If you're able to speak, Vincent, are you able to speak?
Yes, I'm able to speak.
Okay, all right. What's your key takeaway? What did you hope for in the 5-day return challenge? What is your key takeaway from today specifically?
I had no expectation. I was invited. I showed up with an open mind, and the lessons yesterday were just deep into my spirit. And I love the part of returning to myself, returning home to my father's house, because I know there is much more than I could ever achieve from there. And in today's session, I think the key thing that there's so many things that I'm taking away, but of course I cannot say all of them. But the key thing that I take away with me is that I am exhausted because I'm trying to prove something that was never in question. So working extremely hard to show people who I want them to see, but I forget who I truly am. So these are some of the things that are key to me. So yeah.
Wow, that is so succinct. I wouldn't have anything else to say. It's an honor to have you here, Vincent, and stay on till Friday.
I will be here. I did not write the comment that I wrote in my own book, my notebook, that I commit to show up every day. So not just tomorrow.
That's what matters. That's what matters. Because at the end of the day, it is your commitment. It is your self-trust. That's what matters. You will know. Thank you so much, Vincent. I'd called D. Would you be able to speak? If not, I will call Virginia. D, yes, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for this wonderful session. To answer your question, I didn't necessarily also have any expectations. I was in Kenya last month, and my sister Shiru had woken up at 5 a.m. and I was also curious to know what it was about. So this time around, she invited me and I was able to join today. Yeah. I'll just quickly jump into everything was actually very, very informational and encouraging, but the closing statement, and I'll read it. Every endeavor has been about proving my worth thus far, and as a result, it has been taking me even further away into faraway countries, and I relate so much with that. Last year I closed all my businesses, and I've been a little bit more serious about my journey with the Lord. And it's about 13 months now, and only last week I realized that actually the issue has been about worth and trying to prove a worth that I know I already have, and I didn't understand where it came from, where it stemmed from. And it was just abusive in my face last week when I found out that that's the reason that I've been struggling. And today I felt like I finally understood where it was coming from. It was from the inability to finish. Because it's not that I do not have self-worth or do not understand the love of God, or, when you talked about the intelligence aspect, that has been a razor blade that has been cutting me deep every every other day. So to understand that it's not success that I'm running for or to have more, but it's really just to finish, I feel like it has opened up a world of possibilities, so that I can actually, I think, like the smoker, begin to start living for real.
Wow. So I have to tell you, Vincent and Dee, you are on my list. You are at the very, very bottom. I scrolled through who to call, and for some reason I couldn't skip you. You too. And I think you've deposited something, especially just because each of you has touched on something specific. You've deposited something back to me, and I want to say thank you, and thank you for being here. Dee, you have to get in touch with Gladys. You cannot miss Cora.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat, please?
You cannot miss Cora. Vincent, get in touch with Gladys. Gladys is in the chat, on the chat box. We intend to have 15 slots in Cora. So, and we already have 3 people. That sounds like people are not signing up. You'll be shocked. It's going to close up before you know it. And those of you who have already put your leg in, this is going to fill up before you know it. There will not be any other program that I have prepared for as much as I've prepared this. And this is the paradox, that right now I don't have a fixed curriculum. I just know that I see the ocean that there is, and I keep praying that I end up channeling the right pillars, and whatever comes through is going to be absolutely. If I had a way, I would get everyone that is in the 5-day return challenge into Cora, but that will not be sustainable. Join Cora. That's it. You will not hear anything about Cora beyond today until we finish the 5-day return challenge. What is your assignment? Number 1, make sure you rewatch day 1. Rewatch day 1. Number 2, rewatch this session when it's available. And number 3, you go into the WhatsApp group and share your takeaways. That's it. Show up here tomorrow. Be ready by 5. That's it. And I will see you all tomorrow. Now here is the daily reset. Just do the 5 statements. That's it. Remember HOM 2026. I won't share that website again until Friday. HOM 2026, that leads you, HOM2026.com leads you to Cora. 5 statements. What is your focus today? What is your intention? What are you releasing? What are you claiming? What are you permitting yourself to experience or do or feel or let go of or overcome? No more than total 10 words on any of those lines. Very, very clear, narrow, specific. You set it now, and then you carry it with you throughout the day. That is the daily reset, and that is how you decide how the day is going to play out. And tomorrow I will show you an extra component that makes the daily reset complete. That's it from me. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. I thank everyone. Thank you, Gladys. And especially Dee and Vincent, thank you for those seeds that you've sown into our shared space. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.